It was supposed to be a graceful, empowering appearance for Meghan Markle on The View. A segment billed as a discussion about advocacy, media bias, and her upcoming projects. But what unfolded shocked everyone, both inside the studio and watching. Around the world, Meghan Markle, usually poised and eloquent, found herself blindsided by what many are now calling an ambush in disguise. As Joy Behar fired off a series of comments that didn't just raise eyebrows, they ignited outrage. From the moment Meghan stepped onto the stage, the energy was tense. She greeted the panel warmly, but Joy's expression was noticeably flat. Things seemed normal at first. With questions about her philanthropic work and children's education in the U.S., but the conversation took a sharp and unanticipated turn when Joy interrupted Meghan, mid-sentence with a smirking remark that stunned the room. Isn't it funny how someone can say they want privacy and then do a Netflix documentary? The studio audience laughed nervously. Meghan froze for a beat, her smile faltering as she quickly processed the loaded implication. Meghan attempted to brush it off, implying calmly that there's a difference between protecting one's personal life and controlling one's narrative. But Joy doubled down, pressing. Don't you think stepping away from the royal family and then monetizing that experience seems, contradictory? That's when Meghan's entire body language shifted. Her posture stiffened, her gaze sharpened, and the warmth in her tone cooled dramatically. With all due respect, she began, there's a big difference between exploitation and empowerment. I wasn't paid to be silent. The studio audience applauded in support, but the tension between her and Joy was now undeniable, rather than letting it go. Joy leaned forward and questioned if Meghan's work would be taken more seriously if she wasn't constantly surrounded by drama. That last comment hit hard. Meghan's eyes flickered with anger. She took a slow breath, clearly restraining herself from snapping, and asked why it was that women who speak up are always branded as dramatic. What followed was one of the most awkward silences The View had ever broadcast. Sunny Hostin and Sarah N. looked visibly uncomfortable, trying to interject and redirect, but Joy wasn't done. She smirked and asked, well, what did you expect? You married into the most scrutinized family in the world, then walked away and started giving interviews. People are going to talk. Meghan, no longer hiding her irritation, shot back sharply. I expected decency. I expected not to be crucified for telling the truth. And I didn't expect that truth to be mocked on platforms led by other women. The room went dead quiet. Joy's grin disappeared. The crowd was unsure how to react. Some clapped, others gasped. The tension had crossed the line from uncomfortable to confrontational. Meghan's voice cracked slightly, not from fear, but from sheer frustration as she said, this is why women don't speak up, because even other women use their platforms to question our intentions rather than support our voices. Rather than de-escalate, Joy tossed in one last grenade. But if you're such an advocate for truth, why do so many people in your own family say you exaggerate things? Meghan blinked twice. You could almost see the storm gathering behind her eyes. You mean the same family that questioned what color my son's skin would be before he was born? She snapped back. The same family that never defended me once in the press. There were audible gasps in the studio. Joy looked momentarily shaken, perhaps realizing she had pushed too far. Meghan didn't wait for a response. I didn't come here to be interrogated, she said firmly. I came here to talk about meaningful work, not to be humiliated by recycled tabloid nonsense. With that, she reached up, calmly removed her mic, and looked squarely at the camera. This is why we walk away, she said. 5. Chilling. Words that echoed across living rooms around the country. She stood up, thanked the other co-hosts politely, and walked off stage with quiet but seething dignity. Backstage. Chaos erupted. Producers scrambled to do damage control while the other hosts sat frozen in shock. Joy, looking more stunned than smug now, muttered, well, that escalated, as Whoopi Goldberg, turning from a scheduled break, tried to make sense of what had just happened. Word spread instantly throughout the studio. Meghan Markle had just stormed off The View Live. Audience members began tweeting within seconds. Staffers from backstage began leaking details to entertainment reporters, saying that Meghan was furious and accused the producers of failing to moderate the tone of the segment. Reports soon surfaced that Meghan's team had sent the show an approved list of topics beforehand, which did not include royal family drama or tabloid controversies, a list that had clearly been ignored. The fallout was immediate. Viewers flooded social media, and within an hour, hashtags like #Meghan storms out and #ViewDisaster were trending worldwide. Clips of her walk-off were uploaded, shared, dissected, and memed endlessly. Public opinion was sharply divided. Meghan's supporters rallied to her defense, praising her composure and denouncing the co-hosts specially. Joy for turning a planned discussion on women's empowerment into a cheap ratings grab. Critics, on the other hand, accused Meghan of being unable to handle tough questions and constantly playing the victim card. Media outlets from CNN to the Daily Mail scrambled to publish op-eds either defending her courage or attacking her perceived hypocrisy. Meanwhile, representatives from Meghan Markle released a short but firm statement. The Duchess of Sussex participated in this interview with the understanding that it would highlight her philanthropic work. What transpired instead was a deliberate attempt to provoke and embarrass. The View's producers issued a generic response, stating that their hosts often engage in difficult questions, but did not offer a direct apology. That omission only fueled the fire, and the backlash against Joy Behar in particular grew louder with each passing hour. And side sources later claimed Joy was unapologetic, insisting she had done what all good interviewers do, ask the tough questions. But others on set were less sure. One crew member anonymously told Entertainment Press that the tone of the segment had been way off, and that the atmosphere during commercial breaks had been visibly tense even before the confrontation aired. Reports even surfaced that Sunny Hostin had privately apologized to Meghan during the break, acknowledging that the segment had veered into mean-spirited territory. Meghan, meanwhile, reportedly left the building without speaking to anyone except her personal security. Planned post-show dinner with the hosts was immediately canceled. What was intended as a light-hearted media stop had turned into a viral cultural moment, now being used in classrooms, articles, and social panels as an example of how quickly public platforms can turn toxic. The ripple effects were immense. Advertisers began to distance themselves from that specific episode of The View, with several sponsors pulling their ads from replays and digital uploads. ABC executives were said to be in emergency meetings, debating whether to issue a formal apology or ride out the storm. Meanwhile, Meghan's Netflix producers reportedly praised her for handling the situation with grace under fire, and immediately began brainstorming ways to incorporate the fallout into her upcoming content. Social justice organizations, including several women's rights advocacy groups, issued statements supporting Meghan, arguing that what she endured on live television was a prime example of how women, particularly women of color, are still questioned and challenged when they speak their truth. The incident sparked global conversation about intersectionality, media responsibility, and the blurred lines between journalism and entertainment. Perhaps most notably, Meghan Markle herself seemed to address the situation obliquely just a few days later during a virtual summit on digital safety. Without naming names or shows, she stated, "When women step forward with honesty and intent, they often meet walls of cynicism disguised as curiosity." Her words were widely interpreted as a subtle but pointed reflection on what had happened. On The View, meanwhile, Joy Behar remained silent, avoiding any comment on social media or in later episodes of the show. An uncharacteristic move for someone known to double down on controversy. Fans began demanding accountability, not just for Meghan's treatment, but for a broader culture of media interrogation that often turns empowering interviews into public spectacles. The tension remained thick for days afterward, and Meghan vs. The View became a cultural flashpoint, with both media analysts and average viewers asking, "How did we get here, and how do we move forward?"